Quite a few of you out there have home servers that you're using for virtualization, NAS, media encoding, and whatever else your heart desires. What if I told you you can also run it as a router? And what if I also told you that you could take pretty much any PC and turn that into a router? Well, you can with pfSense. So that's essentially what we're going to do today. Take any PC and turn it into a router for your home network. Let's check it out. If you're watching this video, you already have an internet connection, which means you obviously have a router. So why are we doing this? So pfSense is an open source router operating system. You can put it pretty much on any device and run it as your router. Now, you can take this and use it as your main router and plug it directly into your ISP modem, or you can add it to your existing network and give yourself a lot more power user features within your home network, such as VPN, VLANs, more firewall security, and just more control over your home network in general. So the prerequisites are essentially that you need a minimum of 2 network ports. So the machine I'm using was featured in a previous video of mine where I built a home server on a budget. If you want to check out that video, I will leave a link up above somewhere. I can never get that right. I feel like I've done it so many times, and it would be this side, I think. Anyway, this machine right here only has a single network port. So what I did was I went on eBay, and you can find these all over the place. This is just a network interface card or a NIC. This one is 4 ports. You don't need 4 ports. You can get one with just a single port. But the more ports you have, basically gives you more flexibility on physical hardware you can add later on down the line. So this was only, I think, like $20, and the single port ones are probably around 15. So for $5 more, you get 3 more ports. I'd suggest going with something like this. Okay, I'm gonna move this on the ground because we're gonna have to boot it up, and it's literally sitting right next to my microphone. So let me do that. Oh wait, I should probably install this too. Do that, then move it. Okay, here you go. Whew. Okay, so like I mentioned before, you can add this as your main router and connect it directly to your modem, or you can put it within your existing network setup, and that's what we're doing. So I did a video recently about my entire home network setup, so I'm not gonna go through all of that again. If you wanna watch that video, I'm going to link it up in one of these corners. But here's a diagram that I mocked up of my home network setup. And essentially you can see here that I currently have 2 VLANs on my system, and that is managed by my current pfSense NetGate box. So we won't be touching any of that, but what we will be doing is adding the server that we are doing this installation with to our main VLAN, and then using a virtual instance of pfSense on that to essentially create a new VLAN for our network. And I'm doing this on my server that's running Proxmox. You don't have to do that. You can install pfSense directly onto a computer. And if you want to do that, that's great, go ahead. And if you do that, you can skip all of this part that we're about to jump into, where we configure pfSense on a virtual machine in Proxmox. So if you're not doing that and you've installed it directly to your server, then just jump ahead to that part. For the rest of us that are virtualizing our pfSense install in Proxmox, let's jump into it. Okay, so we can see here that this is as plain install of Proxmox as you can get. This is Proxmox 7.0. This won't be any different if you're using Proxmox 6.4 or whatever version. You can see the only thing we have here is an Ubuntu virtual machine setup, and I set this up before because we're going to be using that later. In terms of networking, the first thing you're going to want to do is go ahead and look at your network setup. So go into your server, go down to network, and you should see, first of all, your main interface. So here is ours, ENP7S0, and then our main network bridge. So VMBR0. So this is what you'll see if you just install Proxmox with no additional network interface card. But here you can see the 4 additional ports that we installed using our NIC card. So the first thing you're going to want to do is, depending on how many LANs you want to set up, we're just going to do 1 for today, but if you want to set up multiple, you'll essentially just follow the same tutorial except with multiple ports. So the first thing you're going to want to do is go into here and pick a port. If you have a single NIC, then it's easy. It's just the only one there, but we're going to pick our ENP4 S0F0 and set that to auto start and then close it. But you may have to reboot after you do that to get the port active. So once that's active, you're good to go to the next step. The next step is going to be creating a new Linux bridge network for our pfSense router to use. So the way I'm configuring it is I am assigning the WAN port of the pfSense install as the network that's coming into the server. So the server is tied to my 10.0.0.1 network so that my pfSense virtual machine will use that network as its WAN and see that as its overarching internet connection. From there, it will then create its own VLAN under the network that we specify. So what we're going to do is create a new network bridge. So go to Create, Linux Bridge, VMBR1, that's fine. And the bridge ports, that is going to match what you created as your active port in the step before. So we did ENP4 S0F0. I can't type. Create. So it's going to tell you pending changes. You're going to want to go up to here and click Apply Configuration. It's going to do this. If it doesn't, it might give you an error. You might have to reinstall. You might have to reboot, but just make sure that everything looks good here. We have our main Linux bridge coming into the server, and then we have a new one that we will use for our LAN. So the next step is to install pfSense to a virtual machine. It's going to be like any virtual machine install. Go to Create VM. We're just going to leave it as VMID 100. We're going to name it pfSense. ISO image, we've already uploaded the pfSense ISO. System, graphics card, I've heard that Spice works. You can leave it as default, it doesn't matter. I use Spice. So hard disk, you really don't need a lot of space. 30 gigs should be fine. CPU, depending on your network size and how much traffic you are going to put through this thing, you'll be fine, honestly, with 2 threads. If you want to up it to 4 threads, that should be perfectly fine for even advanced home users. We'll do 2 just to show you that it can even work with 2. Memory, same thing, 2 gigs should be fine for smaller home networks. If you want to up that to 4 gigs, you can, but we are going to leave it at 2 gigs of RAM. Network, it should by default set to our main network coming into our server, which is VMBR0. Leave that. We're going to add the second one in right after this. So everything looks good. Don't start it just yet. Click Finish. There it is. So the first thing we want to do before installing or turning it on and actually running the installs, go to Hardware, go to Add Network Device. We are going to check our VMBR1. This is the new network interface that we added before. So just add that. And now you can see there are 2 network devices added. One will be our WAN coming in that will provide us with internet access. The second will be the LAN output. So things that we can plug into it. If we want to plug in a switch or an access point, we can do that using that port that we specified here. We are good. So next you just are going to start the VM. Just let it do its thing. Okay, here we go. We are actually in the install now. So we're going to accept because we totally just read that. We want to install pfSense, continue with default key map, auto ZFS, that's perfectly fine. Install Stripe with 0 disks. So this is going to ask you what type of install you want to do. Now, we only passed a single hard disk to it, so we don't really have the ability to mirror or do any RAID configuration. So just stay with Stripe because we just have a single disk. And here's where you select it. Press the space bar to select that disk. Click OK. Are you sure you want to destroy? There's nothing on it, so yeah, I'm fine with it. And it will install. So this probably takes about, honestly, a minute or two. It's really fast. And the next time we are asked anything will be for our WAN and LAN configuration. So let's give it about a minute. Installation is now finished. Would you like to open the shell and perform any manual modifications? No, we don't need to do that. It's going to reboot. All right, now it's going to boot from the hard disk. Okay, so on the first time you boot it up, it's going to ask you if you want to set up VLANs right now. Select no, we don't want to do any of that right now. We can always add VLANs later. Okay, so the first thing it's going to say, enter the WAN interface name or A for auto detection. So WAN is going to be what is coming in. So we know that VNet 0, or the first network interface that we gave to the pfSense VM, was the network interface that was coming into our server. So that's what we want to use as the WAN. So we're going to type in VTnet0. And then similarly for LAN, it's asking us what we want to use for LAN. Now LAN is going to be the VTnet1, which is the port on the NIC that I assigned to it. It's going to say, does this look good? Yes, it does. And it's going to run through its thing and boot up pfSense for the first time. Okay, it is up and running. So you can see here that our WAN is on the 10.0.0.1 network. So we've been assigned the local IP address of 10.0.0.157. So that's what it's going to see as our WAN, or internet access port. And you can see that our LAN is now on a completely different subnet or network. We are now on the 192.168.1.1 network. Let's utilize that Ubuntu VM that I was talking about earlier. So the cool thing about hosting pfSense virtually is that on the same machine, you can spin up a VM and assign it to either of your networks. I can assign it to my 10.0.0.1 network, or I can assign it to the new pfSense VLAN on the 192 network. So if I go into this Ubuntu VM, and this is just a standard Ubuntu 20.0.4 install, I believe. If we go in here, you can see the network device added is this VMBR0, so the same network that's coming in. So when I run this VM, we're going to be in that 10.0.0.1 network. Or I can now go in, add a network interface, and add that VMBR1 network. Because remember, that is now running in pfSense as its own LAN. Now you'll see when I start up this VM, whoops, I was doing that under the template. So on the actual VM, so same thing, add network device 01, add. So now when we spin up this Ubuntu VM, if we go to our networks, you will see we are connected to 2 networks now, which in most cases you don't really want. So we're going to go into settings. And this being our first one, I will show you, let's turn this one off. And if we go into here, you can see we have been assigned a 10.0.0.153 IP address. So we are on our main VLAN home network. However, if I change that to use our pfSense LAN that we passed through, you can see now we are on the 192.168.1 network with an IP address of 192.168.1.100. So now that we are on that network, we can open up a browser. We can go to 192.168.1.1, which is the host port of our LAN, host address of our LAN. And here you can see our pfSense screen. So by default, your user is admin and your password is pfSense. And when you log in, it's going to make you change it essentially. So we are now on the 192.168 address. We have full access to the internet, as you can see here. Yay, YouTube. And it's essentially its own VLAN, kind of. So there is another step you need to take if you want this VLAN to act as a separate network from your main home VLAN. For example, we are on the 192.168.1 192.168 network. But if I go to ping my TrueNAS server, which is on my main VLAN, you can see we still have access to it, and we don't want that. We don't want anything on this new VLAN to communicate with our main VLAN. So let's fix that. So to do that, we go back into our pfSense GUI, and you're going to want to go to Firewall and Rules, then go to LAN. And by default, your LAN is open to everything. And that's what you can see here, these two rules, IPv4, IPv6. And we don't want that. We are essentially going to make sure it has access to everything except our main 10.0.0.1 network. So to do that, go to Add, and you want it to pass, and this will make sense later, but the interface is LAN, the address family is IPv4, the protocol is any, and the source is our LAN net, and our destination is a specific network of 10.0.0.124, and you want to invert that. So what that means is that we're going to pass everything through as long as the source is our 192.168.1 LAN, and the destination is everything except, since we're inverting, 10.0.0.1. So let's save. And now that we have that, we can remove this old rule, because if that takes priority, everything's still going to go through. So remove that. Let's just remove the IPv6 one. You can do the same thing with IPv6 if you want to handle IPv6 networking. So we're going to apply changes. And now you can see we still have access to the internet. Perfect. But now when we go to ping that server again, nothing. So we have essentially closed off access from this new VLAN to our main VLAN. So now they are completely separated, and you are free to do whatever you want with this. You can plug in its own access point and have this be the guest access point that all your friends or guests that come over use if you don't want them having access to your home network. And like I said before, the NIC card that you buy, if you have one port, you essentially have one device you can hook up. So you can do an access point, or you can do a switch to an access point and get creative. But if you have more ports, that will make it extremely easy to set up even more VLANs with dedicated ports assigned to them. So we have 4. We could essentially spin up 3 more VLANs and throw on 3 access points and have extremely easy 4 VLAN setup with their own dedicated access points. So that's all I have for you today. I hope this was informative and helped you kind of take a look at that PC you have sitting in the corner collecting dust, and maybe breathe some new life into it, or give you a reason to tinker and learn a little bit more about network configuration. So if you go ahead and do this, let me know down in the comments how it goes. If you're already running pfSense, let me know how you're using it. I'd be interested to know how you guys have it set up in your home setups. But that's it for today. I have some more network videos coming soon, so if that's interesting to you, please subscribe, and thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.